Morning everyone. So this week I thought we'd do something a little different. Normally I just show my drawing process and talk about it, but Clip Studio introduced some new features that are pretty cool, and I figured I would just play with one of them, particularly I think it's called the line correction tool. I'm not really sure. So let's jump right into it. This for now sticking to my little bitty cryptid characters, which are a bunch of cartoony versions of cryptids like Bigfoot, the Loch Ness Monster, etc. I'm hoping I'll expand into sculpting in 3D, but one step at a time. So this week, I'm actually redrawing an old picture of the Flatwoods Monster incident. But like I said, I'm testing out Clip Studio's new line correction feature. And again, I don't know if that's actually what it's called. I forgot to look before I started recording this. So first, let's talk a little bit about the Flatwoods Monster. This one took place way back in 1952 in West Virginia. Now, if you know anything about cryptids, you'll know a lot of strange stuff has gone down there in the past, and I don't really know why this might be so. So if anybody has any theories in the comments, I'd love to hear them. I mean, we got Mothman, who I'll definitely be covering at some point, and there's a few others that are escaping me right now, but I'll look them up, but I know there's a bunch. Anyway, story goes that three little boys saw a bright object streak across the sky and land in a farmer's field. They went and told one of their moms, and they, along with a dog, set out to track down the landing site. Apparently they saw a large pulsating ball of fire that also gave some kind of mist with a strong odor, and I guess it burned their nostrils and eyes as well. When they directed their flashlight towards the two lights, they saw this enormous 10-foot tall, 4-foot wide, alien-looking entity that seemed to be more robotic than organic, and it revealed itself gliding towards them. Naturally, they panicked and took off. I would too. Upon getting back to the farmer's house, they contacted the sheriff and a reporter. The reporter and the witnesses went back to the encounter site where there was still this sickening smell. It was apparently something that smelled some burnt and metallic. Of course, as it always goes, when the sheriff got there, there was no trace of the encounter. I don't know why that always seems to happen. I do guess they went back the next day and did find some traces, but there's some, back and forth about what was found. There's a lot more to it, but I actually want to jump ahead. I'll save other stories about the Flatwoods Monster for the future and maybe get more into detail. Now, let's talk about Clip Studio's new line correction feature. I figured I'd do a quick resketch of this old drawing from a while back. I always thought it was pretty funny, but wasn't sure about the layout. I wanted to make sure this time that I lay it out according to the rule of thirds. I found that putting all three humans in wasn't ideal for me, so I just made it two, and a leg and shoe in the foreground indicating someone running mostly off camera. It just felt like I'd get a much clearer image with the two kids. Once I've sketched it, it's time to ink it, and here's where Clip Studio's new feature comes in. I did try to ink the entire thing using it, but it wasn't always feasible. Basically, if you draw a line or curve and hold your pen instead of lifting it off your screen or just your tablet, the line will start to correct. And I started off by trying more complicated curves, but I noticed it seems to confuse Clip Studio when I do this. Not always, but a lot. So sometimes I would hold my pen down, and instead of getting curves, it would turn into a line, or it would turn into like hexagonal, polygonal type shapes. It just really wasn't what I wanted. One thing that's cool about it though is when you hold it down, this edit button will pop up, and it'll give you lines similar to Adobe Illustrator. You don't have quite as much control as you do with Illustrator though. So these vector points will pop up when you hit that edit button, but moving one point as you would in Illustrator will affect the entire line in Clip Studio when you try this. So it's not quite as, like I said, it's not quite as much control. I hope in the future they might give us a little more control over this, maybe even make it fully vector. And to be honest, I still need to try this on vector layers. But once you let go, that's pretty much all she wrote, folks. I did notice it handles simple curves a lot better than things that are more complicated. Also, again, strange lines and shapes will pop up that you didn't necessarily intend. One cool thing, again, is that it will also let you choose between pre-selected curves and lines and other shapes. But again, it's not as much control as, say, Illustrator. All in all, it's a cool feature. Seems a little more robust from Procreates, which I've only tried a few times, to be honest. I think that in the future, if I use it, it'll be more for rough sketching and laying lines in, especially for things that are less organic, things like buildings, cars, etc. Maybe also getting circles into the positions and perspective I want. I'm not sure, again, it doesn't seem quite as useful for some of the more organic stuff that I need to do. It's frankly just faster to freehand it. I could see myself using it here and there, but not exclusively using it. Anyway, if you liked my content, please hit the like and subscribe. And if you're curious as to my hardware, please click the affiliate links below and really help out the channel. I've also linked my store and comic books in the description and would love it if people check them out. See you next week and stay cryptic.